I hope all of you had a very good new year. A few days back, Dr. Aryan, he asked me some questions regarding the potency and dosage. So I told him that we will be discussing it today. But I would like to tell Dr. Aryan that we have put that thing into the topic of the workshop in the Thailand this time. So we will discuss in detail because it is a question of many doctors who wanted me to talk about this dosage and potency, that where how we should give it. So it would be better that if we discuss it in front of everyone. So we will discuss it in the this year's workshop in February. So there we will discuss it in detail. So we will continue with the organon. We have done till aphorism 148 last time. So we will continue with aphorism 149. So from here on, we will start going more deep into how to analyze the cases, what we should do in what kind of cases. Those aphorisms they will start from this point onwards. So we'll start with aphorism 149. So aphorism 149. When the suitable homeopathic remedy has been thus selected and rightly employed, the acute disease we wish to cure, even though it be of a grave character and tended by many suffering, subsides insensibly in a few hours, if it be of recent date. So when a suitable homeopathic remedy is selected, a remedy which is homeopathic by character, by nature, which fits the whole case, which covers the totality of all the characteristic symptoms, when that remedy is selected, then and when it is given, any acute disease, even of the grave character, any kind of acute emergency also, if it is of a very grave character, that remedy will start will it will subside, it will get better within few hours if it is of recent origin, in a few days if it be of a somewhat longer standing. If it is of somewhat longer standing, like few months or 15 days or 20 days back some problem started, then in few days it will become better, along with all traces of indisposition. There will be no indisposition, no symptom which will be left behind. All the parts where the disease was there, everything will go away. And nothing or almost nothing more of the artificial medicinal disease is perceived. And even when the cure is done, any traces of artificial medicinal disease, the disease which was produced by the homeopathic medicine, that will also not remain there. There occurs by rapid, imperceptible transitions, nothing but restored health and recovery. So disease of long standing and especially such as are of the complicated character require for their cure a proportionately longer time. So if the diseases are of longer standing, there is some complications to the disease, they will require more longer time. More especially to the chronic medicinal dyscrasia so often produced by the allopathic bungling. So that is why many times in many cases when some medicines are going along, like someone is taking some medicine for the diabetes from a long time, or some hypertension remedies, or some remedies for correction of the hormones, in those cases it will take more longer times than those cases where the medicines are not going on, the patient is not taking any other medications. So when because there is a medicinal disease also which is running along, and with the passage of time it becomes more conjoined. Many times in the patients who have been taking insulin from a long time, because of the effect of the insulin, the glucagon also starts becoming low, the another hormone. And in that cases, you will see these episodes of hyperglycemia. So those hypoglycemic attacks in many cases of insulin dependent diabetes are because of the long this taking of insulin. So the suddenly this blood sugar will suddenly drop low. So in such cases, in those medicinal dyscrasias and those medicinal diseases where the disease is basically now become more complicated with the natural disease, it require a much longer time for their recovery. Often indeed are they incurable in consequence of the shameful robbery of the patient's strength and juices, the principal feat performed by the allopathy in its so-called methods of treatment. And he's saying that in such cases, if the patient is completely devoid of the vitality, there is no energy left, and there are so many things going on, in those cases, sometimes he goes to the extent of saying that these diseases or these conditions may become incurable. Dr. Hahnemann in whole Organon, whenever he's talking about the natural diseases, the diseases which are occurring naturally and are not, they have not been none of the bungling is done. They are not complicated. Dr. Hahnemann has never written that they are not incurable. He's saying that you can cure the patient for the whole of the disease can go from the patient's existence, from his system, from his body. But only few times he has used these words incurable, and only in context to this thing. In context to when the medicinal disease is also mixed or complicated with the natural disease. Only in those cases, only in those parts, whenever he's talking about this thing, he uses this word that sometimes these things they become incurable. Footnote to aphorism 149. But this laborious, uh, sometimes very laborious search for the selection of homeopathic remedy most suitable. Last time also when we stopped at 148, I told you that 149 is a more of an emotional uh, aphorism, because Dr. Hahnemann during his time he has felt so many things. He 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 was a very conscientious person. He worked very conscientiously on the things. For him, like I was talking last time also, that these words were coming not out of anger but out of the sympathy, out of the compassion which he had for the sick human beings, for the sick humanity. He had this compassion towards them, and because of that compassion he felt this need to say these things which he is going to say, which he is saying in these aphorism and footnote. But this laborious, sometimes very laborious search for a selection of the homeopathic remedy most suitable in every respect to each morbid state is an operation which, notwithstanding all the admirable books for facilitating it, still demands the study of the original sources themselves. He's saying that there are many admirable books. There are books which are written on these topics nowadays by the doctors, but this is a very laborious task, finding the right remedy. It is a labor which a physician has to do. Interrogate the case, investigate the case, take out the symptoms, then choose which are the characteristics. Are there any other things to that thing? You have to see, what is the natural disease, how the phenomena is going on. You have to see so many things. So you say that it is a very laborious task. Still demand the study of the original sources themselves, the provings. The original sources are the provings. So it also demands the study of the original sources, and at the same time a great amount of circumspection and serious deliberation, which have their best reward in the consciousness of having faithfully discharged our duty. And it also requires very circumspection, that I am there has to be this sense, along with doing your duty, we have to have the sense that I'm not doing anything wrong. The procedure which I have known, the things which I know, I'm not going out of those things, and this duty has to be discharged very faithfully. How could this laborious, care demanding task, by which alone the best way of curing disease is rendered possible? He's saying that this is the best way of curing the diseases. This is the best way of curing the patients. It requires faithfulness, it requires labor, it requires a conscientiousness in them. Please the gentlemen of the new mongrel sect, who assume the honorable name of homeopathists and even seem to employ medicines in form and appearance homeopathic, but determined upon by them anyhow, quid in bucum venit, and who, when the unsuitable remedy does not immediately give relief, in place of laying the blame on their unpardonable ignorance and laxity in performing the most important and serious of all human affairs, ascribe it to homeopathy. So he has given the name to these kind of physicians, a new mongrel sect. Mongrel sect is basically cross-bred dogs. The dogs which don't belong to the original breed, but they are of two different breeds. So they are called the mongrel sect. So Dr. Hahnemann in this footnote, he basically gives the example or basically relates them to those kind of crossbreeds whom he says that they have taken the name, honorable name of a homeopathist, that I am a homeopath. And they also give the medicines which appear homeopathic. They are not homeopathic because for homeopathic it has to be similar. But they have the appearance of homeopathic medicines, the way they employ them. But if those medicines do not give relief to the patient, then rather than taking the blame on their knowledge or on their ignorance or that they have not faithfully discharged their duty, they put all this blame on the homeopathy, that homeopathy does not work in these cases. Many times I have, you know, asked the students, they are told by many teachers or that the homeopathy does not work in the gallstones, it does not work in some cerebral cases, it does not work in that or this. So he's talking about the physicians who are basically taking the name of homeopathy, but basically blaming. He was more concerned with the blame on the homeopathy. See, it was his discovery, but he also had this thing in mind, like, he said that from my experience, I can say that homeopathy works. I have seen all kind of cases getting better with homeopathy. So if pulsatilla can work in the hands of one physician and does not work in the hand of the other physician, then the pulsatilla or the homeopathic medicine or the homeopathic system is not to be blamed. The blame lies on the knowledge of the physician, which they accuse, which they accuse of great imperfection. And moreover, they would say that there are many imperfections in this science. If the truth be told, its imperfection consists in this, that the most suitable homeopathic remedy for each morbid condition does not spontaneously fly into their mouths like roasted pigeons without any trouble on their part. So he's saying that only imperfection which lies in homeopathy is that it does not give medicine automatically to those people who does not want to work, like they don't want to um, do this laborious task, they don't want to put their effort in it, they just want that somehow, like a roasted pigeon, some food item, it should come and fly and go into their mouth. So they know, however, from frequent practice, how to make up for the inefficiency of the scarcely half homeopathic remedy by the employment of allopathic means. So he's saying that the homeopathic remedy which they have given is not simillimum. It is not similar to the case. That is why it is not working. So then they blame the homeopathy, the system, tell about its imperfections, and then give an allopathic remedy for the work which they were not able to do, the labor which they were not able to put in. That come much more handy to them, among which one or more dozens of leeches applied to the affected part or little harmless venesections to the extent of 8 ounces and so forth play an important part. So they will apply leeches or they would do venisections, like, cut and let the blood come out, and they will say that it is a harmless venesection. There will be no harm, even if they are taking 8 ounces of the blood from that particular person. Should the patient, in spite of all this, recover, they extol their venisections, leeches, etc., alleging that had it not been for these, the patient would not have been pulled through. And they give us to understand in no doubtful language that these operations derived without much exercise of genius from the pernicious routine of the old school, in reality contributed the best share towards the cure. And if the patient pulls out, if he recovers in spite of all this thing, then they will say that it is because of the venisections and leeches. If we would have not done this, then the patient would have been dead. But if the patient die under the treatment, as not unfrequently happens, means frequently happens. Now, if the patient dies, which frequently happens with this thing, they seek to console the friends by saying that they themselves were witness that everything conceivable had been done for the lamented deceased. Who would do this frivolous and pernicious tribe the honor to call them after the name of the very laborious but salutary art homeopathic physicians? They say if the patient dies, then they will tell the friends or the family that they themselves have seen that everything which could be done have been done. So Dr. Honeyman is saying that how these people, they can call themselves homeopathic physicians. What kind of, they are doing this thing very carelessly, very frivolously, and this is basically hurting the patients, and still they have this guts, still they have this honor in them that they will call themselves homeopathic physicians. May the just recompense wait them that when taken ill, they may be treated in the same manner. So it is more like a curse, or but it is a way of the nature, way of the universe, that whatever you sow, you will reap the same thing. So he's saying that whenever they get sick, let the recompense, the justice wait for them, and they should be treated in the same way as they have been treating their patients. So the thing to take from this aphorism, the thing to take from this particular footnote, is how religiously the duty or the work should be done, especially when someone is basically putting the most worthful thing, most most important thing, the health or the life of oneself, into your hands. I see it is many times we do not get the right remedy on the first meeting, second, third, fourth. It is okay, that is a different thing. That that just tells us that we don't know yet the level of the education or the level of the knowledge which we should have. That is not there. That is okay, that is okay. But once we say that we are homeopaths, once we say that I'm a physician, I should adhere to the basic meaning of being a physician. I should adhere to the basic task of being a homeopath. With 100% of my knowledge and the things I know, I should perform in that way. Yes, I would strive. We should strive that we should become more knowledgeable. We should know more. Will study more. We will have more experiences, and then, go with those things. But the basic thing, this whole thing, this is not a part of being homeopath. Dr. Vijayakar, he used to say that the limit and the scope of homeopathy is homeopath himself, the knowledge of the homeopath. What you can cure depends upon our knowledge. What we can cure depends upon how deeply we have understood our subject, how deeply we have understood our principles, how deeply and how much conviction, how much belief we have in this thing. Because once you start believing in it, once you start seeing patients getting better in front of you, then there is nothing left that you cannot believe. There is nothing left. because experience is the most prime thing. And once that has happened with you, then even then if you go back and say that then that is what he's talking about here. That once you have experienced what, once you have done it, once you have known it, that these things can be done, and then you are unjustly, from any kind of selfish reasons, if we are doing that, then he has given the name of the new mongrel sect to such homeopaths. If a patient complain of one or more trivial symptoms that have been only observed a short time previously, the physician should not regard this as a fully developed disease that requires serious medical aid. A slight alteration in the diet and regimen will usually suffice suffice to dispel such an indisposition. So if there are some trivial symptoms, very small, in the morning I had this some flu like symptoms for hardly 15-20 minutes. So those are trivial symptoms because of the cold weather, because of from get going from a he, uh, hot room towards the external surroundings of the cold, you can have some trivial symptoms, but that is not a fully developed disease, neither acute neither chronic. So that does not require any kind of medical aid. No medicine should be given for that. Only just an alteration in diet and the regimen and something in the routine will basically cure that indisposition. We call those things as indispositions. The things which don't require medicine. Even if the patient is little anxious about it, we can give placebo to them. But if the patient complain of a few violent sufferings, the physician will usually find on investigation several other symptoms besides, although of a slighter character, which furnish a complete picture of the disease. But if there are some violent sufferings, there is some cough which is going on, and you can see, you can hear that the patient is suffering, then that requires our medical attention. That requires that we give a medicine to the patient. But when we are going to give the medicine for that suffering, when we go for the case taking, we will find that there are many other symptoms which are although slight character, but they are there. The cough is not the only thing. There might be slight fever also, there might be slight pain in the throat also. You may feel that there is a little hoarseness of the voice. There may be some characteristic about thirst, some thermal, some sweating, some generals. So when we take all these things, that will complete the picture of the disease. The worst of the acute disease is so much the more numerous and striking symptoms is it generally composed, but with so much the more certainty may a suitable remedy for it be found. He is saying that worst of the acute disease, that in acute disease, what is the worst acute disease? Where there are numerous and striking symptoms. There are so many symptoms, and all the symptoms they appear striking. It is composed of. But the good thing about this thing is that the more the striking symptoms are there, the medicine which we will select, we will be more certain that it will work. Because when all the symptoms, all the striking symptoms are covered by a suitable remedy, we are very much confirmed, we are very confident that this medicine will work for sure. If there be a sufficient number of medicines known with respect to their positive action to choose from, and if we know sufficient number of medicines, because at that time of Dr. Hahnemann, he had proved lots of medicines, but he still felt that it is not sufficient. But now we have a very big array of medicines from where we can select. Among the lists of symptoms of many medicines, it will not be difficult to find one from whose separate disease elements an antitype of curative artificial disease. So from all that list of symptoms, we have to match them with the antitype. Antitype means basically the similar of the curative artificial disease, very like the totality of the symptoms of the natural disease. So those totality of the symptom, all those list of symptoms of the medicines, they must match with the symptoms of the natural disease, may be constructed, and such a medicine is the desired remedy. And when we find that remedy, that is the most similar and the most desired remedy. In this search for the homeopathic specific remedy, that is to say, so now many times this specific remedy, homeopathic specific remedy, This is taken out of the context that in homeopathy there are specific remedies for specific diseases. No, there's a specific remedy for that condition of the disease of the patient in this specific case. That is what the specific remedy means, the homeopathic specific remedy. When he's saying homeopathic, that means a similar remedy, completely similar to the whole totality of the case. That is homeopathic, and it is specific for this particular this particular case. So when we are searching for this homeopathic specific remedy, that is to say, in this comparison of the collective symptoms of the natural disease with the list of symptoms of known medicines, in order to find among these an artificial morphic agent corresponding by similarity to the disease to be cured, the more striking, singular, uncommon, and peculiar signs and symptoms of the case of disease are chiefly and most solely to be kept in view. Now, what kind of symptoms have to be kept in view when we are searching for the homeopathic remedy? The symptoms which are striking. I've striking means that it will strike you. Recently, few days back, a patient came, a lady. She's a tailor. She sews clothes, and she came for her problem of hypothyroidism and many other problems she had. So when her case taking was being done, during the case, she told, when we were asking about her sleep, she said that it depends. It depends upon the work. For example, I said that okay. He said that if I have done good work in that day, I have done very good work during the day, I feel that I should sleep. It is okay for me to sleep. But if I have not done good work in the day, or I have done less work during the day, I feel that she was talking that, when I have not done work, I don't deserve to sleep. Deserve to sleep. Sleep is something which is, a part of you. It comes. It is not something which you deserve or which you don't deserve. She said, if I have not done some work, I think that I don't deserve to take rest when I have not worked. What is the need for rest for me? So something strikes you. No one talks like this regarding the sleep. Okay, there might be sleepiness, there might be sleeplessness, but what it has to do with the deserving part? So it strikes you, something which is peculiar, something which is strange will always strike you. And you stop, okay, let me think about it, what it is. These kind of symptoms become the characteristic symptoms. Today also there was a case of a girl who was suffering from skin disease. So she had this, the mother said that she's always hungry. Like every 15-20 minutes, she wants to eat something. But she does not eat a lot. Like she will have a cookie, or she will put some, fruit into her mouth, and she will eat a little part of the fruit. But every 15-20 minutes, she's always searching for something. Now again, if a person is obese and he is eating like this, okay, we can understand. If a person is lean and he does not eat much, okay, we call these symptoms as common symptoms. Okay, no problem. But a lean person eating like this, and it is not a very canine hunger. She does not eat a lot. Like when she's in the school, she does not do like this. But as soon as she comes home, she will be, searching for something to eat. And the whole day, if it is a holiday, the whole day goes like this. She'll be searching for something to eat. So again, this becomes very singular symptom, very uncommon thing, very peculiar thing. But every 15 to 20 minutes, she wants to eat. This is nibbling hunger. We have a rubric, appetite nibbling. They just want to nibble. It is not hunger. It is more of an appetite that needs to be uh, appeased after every few minutes, after 15 minutes, 20 minutes. They just want to appease that appetite. So these kind of signs and symptoms, when they come, along with the other characteristic signs and symptoms, along with the other things, they basically tells us about that they are very helpful in the search for homeopathic specific remedy. So that I always say this thing, when you are going through the case, always have this thing in the mind that I am looking for things which are uncommon, which are peculiar, which are striking, which are singular. And if something like this comes to me, I will stop there. I will put it down uh, separately in a separate part in my case, and I will think about it when I have to analyze the remedy, when I have to find the homeopathic remedy, are chiefly and most solely to be kept in view. So they are the chief entry points to a case. They are kind of indicative points to for some remedies, these kind of points. For it is more particularly these that very similar ones in the list of symptoms of the selected medicine must correspond to. And these symptoms are the symptoms which the selected medicine should contain in order to constitute it the most suitable for affecting the cure. The more general and undefined symptoms, the loss of appetite, headache, debility, restless sleep, discomfort, and so forth, demand but little attention when of that vague and indefinite character. When the symptoms are of vague character, very commonly found with most of the diseases, and they don't have any kind of characteristic about them, then they don't demand much attention. If they cannot be more accurately described, as symptoms of such a general nature are observed in almost every disease and from almost every drug. So these kind of common symptoms, they are found, these general symptoms, they are very frequently found. This weakness, this debility, this loss of appetite, sleeplessness, some kind of pains, they are very commonly found in most of the diseases until and unless they are characterized. They don't hold any value. Footnote to Aphorism 153. Dr. Wong Bohingason, who has already distinguished himself by his labors in connection with the new system of medicine, has lately increased our obligation to him by the publication of his important little book setting forth the characteristic symptoms, more particularly of the antisoric medicines, entitled this thing, the appendix thereto containing the antisyphilitic and the antipsychotic medicines at the end of the second edition of his the repertory. So here Dr. Hahnemann is basically thanking Dr. Boeing Hassan for creating this repertory, and the word repertory was not yet given to it. Dr. Hahnemann has used the word the appendix. Very important word to understand, because nowadays the repertory has become more important than the materia medica. I have many times the doctors, they would say, okay, what rubric you have taken. But Dr. Hahnemann, he just, even Dr. Boeing Hassan, who created the repertory, who made repertory, but he had said that this is an appendix to the materia medica. Appendix is, for example, in the last part of the majorly the books, the big books, there is an appendix where there are keywords along with the page number. There are keywords along with the page number, that the information about this keyword is given at that page or given in that page. So the rubrics, they are like the keywords, and the remedies, they are like the page numbers. The keyword of mildness, okay, there is pulsatilla. So go in the materia medica of pulsatilla and read about this mildness. How, what kind of mildness is there? What kind of yielding is there? The keyword is hysterical. The page number is ignitia. That go into the materia medica and read about the hysterical part of the ignitia. See the characteristic of that hysteria, because hysteria again is a common thing, very common. But the characteristic part of the Ignatius hysteria is given in the materia medica. If that matches with the patient, then you can give ignitia. Otherwise, don't give ignitia in every hysterical case. Asafoetida has a different kind of ignitia. A gastric, sorry, has a different kind of hysteria. A gastric hysteria. In ignitia, it is more emotional hysteria. In Apis, the hysteria is different. In Pulsatilla, the hysteria is different. So this index, this appendix, is basically this meaning, that if there is disappointment from love, that is the keyword, and there are the remedies which are considered to be as the page numbers. And these remedies have this thing, but see the characteristic, how it is developed. Go to the repertory, Materia Medica, and see it. So this reverse kind of thing, which is there, kind of understanding the medicine from the repertory. I'm not saying that it cannot be done, it can be done, but after you have a lot of experience in Materia Medica, then it can be done. If someone is starting to understand the remedy only from the rubric, it is not possible. Then there are chances that we will make many, many, many mistakes. Yes, but once you have a sound knowledge of natrimure, once you have a sound knowledge of sulfur, then we can go through the rubrics, what more rubrics are there in sulfur, and try to make a this conjoin it with all the things you know about the sulfur, where it fits in. Then that becomes a more of a good thing. But only going from repertory or going from the meaning of the rubric and going for that is not I I don't think that is not the right way to learn homeopathy or learn Materia Medica. So today we will stop at aphorism 153. Next time we will continue from aphorism 154. So I always give importance to how we should study. What is the best way to study? And that is why this Organon, it helps you to understand how you have to go into the analysis of cases, also what is more important to take in the case, but also how you have to approach your Materia Medicas. That is very important. How to understand the Materia Medica, how to approach the Materia Medica. So with that, I will take your leave for today. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please go through these aphorisms once again. And if you find any thing which is not proper in understanding, we can discuss. You can send the questions and we can discuss it. And again, the topic of dosage and potency, we will take it in the workshop in Thailand, which will start, I think, from 15th of February. We will take it there so that every doctor, all the doctors who are there, they can go through that.